Lucia stood in her kitchen, sipping coffee as the morning sun filtered through the wide windows of her London suburban home. The gray stone walls and polished wooden floors were more than just a house to her. They were a testament to her survival. 3 years ago, she'd bought this place with every penny she'd scraped together from her marketing firm, a business she'd built from nothing. 34, Lucia was proud of the life she'd carved out despite the family that had always seen her as a stepping stone for their golden child, her younger brother Matteo. The doorbell rang, sharp and insistent, shattering her quiet moment. She set her mug down, frowning. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened the door, her stomach dropped. There stood her mother, Elena, with her signature crimson lipstick and piercing gaze, flanked by her father, Stefan, whose stern face hadn't softened in decades. Behind them loomed Matteo, 29, with his smug grin and tailored suit, his wife Clara clutching his arm like a trophy. "Lucia, darling," Elena began, her voice syrupy sweet, "we need to talk." Without waiting for an invitation, they pushed past her into the living room, their footsteps echoing like an invasion. Lucia's jaw tightened. This wasn't a visit, it was an ambush. "We've been thinking," Elena continued, settling onto Lucia's cream sofa as if it were her throne. "This house is far too big for one person. Matteo and Clara have 2 kids now, and their flat in the city is cramped. It's only logical you let them move in." Lucia blinked, her mind racing. "This is my house," she said, her voice steady but edged with disbelief. "I worked for it. I paid for it. Why would I give it up?" Matteo smirked, leaning against the fireplace. "Come on, Lucia. You're single, no kids. You don't need all this space. I've got a family to think about. It's the right thing to do." Clara nodded, her blonde curls bouncing. "It'd be perfect for us. The kids could have the backyard, and Matteo's new job is just 10 minutes away." Stefan, silent until now, cleared his throat. "Family helps family, Lucia. You've always been independent, but Matteo needs this more." Lucia's hands clenched into fists. Independent? That was a polite way of saying they'd ignored her for years, funneling every ounce of support, emotional, financial, everything, into Matteo. She'd been the afterthought, the one who'd had to claw her way up while Matteo coasted on their praise. "No," she said firmly. "This isn't happening. You don't get to waltz in and claim what's mine." Elena's smile vanished, replaced by a cold stare. "Don't be selfish, Lucia. We raised you better than this." "Raised me?" Lucia laughed bitterly. "You raised Matteo. I raised myself." The room fell silent, tension crackling like static. Matteo stepped forward, his voice low. "You'll regret this, sis." "We're not asking." Lucia met his gaze, unflinching. "Get out. All of you." They didn't move at first, but when she pulled out her phone and started dialing, Elena stood, smoothing her skirt. "This isn't over," she warned, leading the group out. As the door slammed shut, Lucia leaned against it, her heart pounding. She'd won this round, but she knew her family. They wouldn't stop. And Matteo? He'd always been the type to take what he wanted, no matter who got hurt. She walked to the window, watching their car disappear down the street. This house was her sanctuary, her proof of worth. And she'd be damned if she let them take it. The next morning, Lucia woke to the sound of her phone buzzing relentlessly on the nightstand. She groaned, rubbing sleep from her eyes, and glanced at the screen. 17 missed calls, all from Elena. A voicemail notification blinked ominously. She pressed play, bracing herself. "Lucia," Elena's voice hissed through the speaker, "you've humiliated us." Matteo's devastated, and Clara's in tears. "How could you be so heartless?" "Call me back. Now." The message ended with a sharp click, but the guilt trip lingered like a bad smell. Lucia tossed the phone aside and headed downstairs, determined to ignore it. She'd spent years building emotional armor against her mother's manipulations. But as she poured her coffee, a knock rattled the front door. She froze. Not again. Peeking through the window, she saw a man in a cheap suit holding a clipboard. "Lucia Moretti," he called when she opened the door a crack. "I'm with Pinnacle Realty. Your family hired me to appraise the house. They said you're selling." "Selling?" Lucia's voice rose. "I'm not selling anything." "Who told you that?" The man shifted uncomfortably. "A Mr. Matteo Moretti. He said it's a family decision and you'd agreed." Rage boiled in her chest. "He lied. This is my house and I'm not going anywhere. Leave." The realtor stammered an apology and scurried off, but the damage was done. Matteo wasn't just asking, he was scheming. Lucia grabbed her phone and called him, her fingers trembling as she dialed. "Lucia," Matteo answered, his tone mockingly cheerful. "What's up?" "Don't play dumb," she snapped. "A realtor just showed up. You're trying to sell my house." He chuckled. "Relax, sis. We're just exploring options. You'll come around." "I'll come around," she echoed, incredulous. "This is illegal, Matteo. You can't forge my consent." "Who said anything about forging?" he replied smoothly. "Mom and Dad think it's a great idea. We're a family, your stuff is our stuff, right?" Lucia hung up, her mind spinning. They weren't just entitled, they were delusional. She spent the day securing her property, changing the locks, installing a security camera, and emailing her lawyer Nadia with every detail. Nadia's response was swift. "This is harassment. If they escalate, we'll sue." That evening, Lucia sat at her dining table, staring at the camera feed on her laptop. Quiet was eerie, like the calm before a storm. Then, headlights flashed across the screen. A car pulled into her driveway, Matteo's sleek black Audi. He stepped out, alone this time, carrying a manila envelope. Lucia's pulse quickened as he approached the door and slipped the envelope through the mail slot. She waited until his car was gone before retrieving it. Inside was a handwritten note from Elena. "Lucia, stop this nonsense. Matteo needs the house. Sign the papers or we'll make this harder than it needs to be." Attached was a transfer deed, pre-filled with her name and a blank signature line. Lucia's hand shook as she crumpled the note. They weren't asking anymore, they were demanding. She grabbed her phone and recorded a video, her voice steady despite the fury inside. "This is my house. My family thinks they can bully me into giving it up. Here's their latest move." She held up the papers, then tore them in half. "I'm done playing nice." She posted it online, tagging Matteo, Elena, and Stefan. Within an hour, the comments exploded. Friends, colleagues, even distant cousins she hadn't spoken to in years. "This is insane. Stand your ground, Lucia. Your family's toxic." As she watched the support roll in, Lucia felt a spark of hope. But she also knew Matteo. He'd see this as a challenge, not a defeat. And when he struck back, it'd be uglier than she could imagine. Lucia woke to a flood of notifications the next day. Her video had gone viral overnight, thousands of views, hundreds of shares. Strangers were calling her brave, while old acquaintances sent messages of shock. "I had no idea your family was like this." But amid the support, a new message from Clara stood out. "You're disgusting, Lucia. Airing our private business like this? You'll pay." Lucia barely had time to process it when her doorbell rang. She checked the camera. Elena and Clara, faces twisted with fury. She opened the door, keeping the chain on. "What now?" Elena's eyes narrowed. "You think you can humiliate us online and get away with it? Take that video down or we'll sue you for defamation. It's not defamation if it's true, Lucia shot back. You sent me fake papers. That's a crime. Clara stepped forward, her voice shrill. You're tearing our family apart. Matteo's stressed, the kids are confused. How can you live with yourself? Lucia unhooked the chain, stepping onto the porch. How can you live with trying to steal my home? I earned this. You don't get to guilt me into handing it over. Elena's lips curled into a sneer. You've always been selfish. Matteo's the one keeping this family together. You're just a bitter spinster with a big house. The words stung, but Lucia refused to flinch. Get off my property. Next time I call the police. They left, but not before Clara spat on her doorstep. Lucia wiped it away, her resolve hardening. She wasn't just fighting for her house anymore. This was about her dignity. That afternoon, Matteo posted a response video. He sat in his cramped flat, his kids playing noisily in the background, his face a mask of wounded innocence. My sister's painting us as villains, he said, voice trembling. All I want is a better life for my family. She's got this huge house and we're struggling. Is that fair? Comments were split. Some pitied him, others saw through the act. Nice try, Matteo, one wrote. Lucia showed the papers. You're a liar. Lucia smiled at that, but the victory was short-lived. By evening, her lawyer Nadia called. They've filed a claim, she said. They're saying the house was a family investment and you owe them a share. It's nonsense, but they've got a lawyer spinning it. Lucia's stomach sank. How? I bought it myself. They didn't contribute a dime. They're claiming emotional support, Nadia replied. It won't hold up, but they're dragging it out to wear you down. We'll counter tomorrow. Lucia hung up, staring at the walls she'd painted herself, the furniture she'd chosen. This wasn't just a house, it was her identity. And they wanted to rip it away. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every creak made her jump, every shadow felt like an intruder. At 2 a.m., her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You can't win, Lucia. Give up. She traced it back to a burner phone, but she knew it was Matteo. He was escalating, and she had to be ready. The next morning, she met Nadia at her office. We're not just defending, Lucia said, her voice steel. We're hitting back. I want them exposed, every lie, every trick. Nadia grinned. I've got a private investigator on speed dial. Let's dig. Lucia nodded, a fire igniting inside her. They wanted a war? She'd give them one they'd never forget. Lucia spent the next week in a whirlwind of preparation. Nadia's private investigator, a gruff ex-cop named Victor, was worth every penny. He uncovered a gold mine. Bank records showing Matteo had secretly funneled money from their parents' savings into a failed business venture, money they'd claimed was for family emergencies. There were emails, too, between Elena and Matteo, plotting to pressure Lucia into selling. One read, "She's stubborn, but she'll crack." She always does. Lucia stared at the evidence, her anger simmering into something colder, sharper, resolve. They've been playing me for years, she told Victor over coffee at a dimly lit cafe. This ends now. Victor nodded, sliding her a USB drive. There's more. Clara's been shopping for houses behind Matteo's back. It looks like she's planning her own exit. Lucia's eyes widened. She's cheating on him? Not yet, Victor said, but she's got a dating profile active. Calls herself single and ready. Lucia smirked. Perfect family Matteo paraded around was a house of cards, and she was about to knock it down. She and Nadia filed a countersuit, harassment, fraud, and emotional distress. The evidence was damning, and the court date was set for a month out. But Matteo didn't wait for the law. 2 days later, Lucia came home to find her front yard trashed, paint splattered across her door, windows smeared with mud. The security camera caught it all. Matteo, hooded and gloved, hurling cans like a petulant child. She posted the footage online with a simple caption, "This is who they really are." The backlash was immediate. Mateo's sob story unraveled as people saw the truth, a spoiled brat throwing a tantrum. Elena called, screaming, "You're ruining us!" Lucia hung up without a word. But the retaliation didn't stop. Clara showed up at Lucia's office the next day, mascara streaked and furious. "You're destroying my marriage!" she shrieked, drawing stares from Lucia's employees. "Matteo's a wreck because of you." Lucia stepped closer, voice low. "He's a wreck because he's a liar. And you're no better. I know about your little house hunt." Clara paled, stammering. "You don't understand." "I understand plenty," Lucia cut in. "Get out before I have security drag you." Clara fled, and Lucia felt a strange calm settle over her. She was done being the punching bag. That night, she sat with Victor, reviewing more findings. "Stefan's been quiet," she noted. "Too quiet." Victor grunted. "He's the money man. I'm betting he's the one pushing this family investment lie. I'm digging into his taxes next." Lucia nodded, but a chill ran through her. Stefan had always been the silent enforcer, the one who'd once locked her out of the house for a night at 16 because she'd talked back. If he was in deep, this fight was far from over. The next morning, a letter arrived from Stefan. No threats, just a cold demand. "Meet us at the house tomorrow. We'll settle this as a family." Lucia stared at it, torn. Part of her wanted to burn it, but another part, the part that still remembered the little girl begging for their love, whispered to go. She called Nadia. "They want a meeting." "Should I?" "Only if we record it," Nadia said. "And I'm coming with you." Lucia agreed, her heart pounding. Tomorrow she'd face them head-on. Not as the scapegoat they'd molded, but as the woman she'd become. And she'd make sure they regretted ever crossing her. Lucia pulled into her parents' driveway, Nadia beside her in the passenger seat. The old Victorian house loomed ahead, its peeling paint and sagging porch a stark contrast to the pristine image Elena had always projected. Lucia adjusted the tiny microphone clipped to her collar, hidden under her scarf. "Ready?" Nadia asked, her hand on a recorder. "More than ever," Lucia replied, stepping out. This wasn't just a meeting, it was a battlefield. Elena opened the door, her face a mask of forced calm. "Come in, darling." Stefan sat in the armchair, his expression unreadable. Matteo paced by the window, Clara perched stiffly on the couch, avoiding Lucia's gaze. The air was thick with tension. "Let's keep this civil," Stefan began, his voice gravelly. "We're here to fix things." Lucia crossed her arms. "Fix what? You trying to steal my house?" Matteo whirled on her. "It's not stealing. It's what's fair. You've got everything and I'm drowning." "Enough!" Elena snapped, then softened her tone. "Lucia, we've made mistakes. But Matteo's right, he needs help. You're strong. You can start over." "He can't." Lucia laughed, sharp and bitter. "Start over? I built that house from nothing while you poured everything into him. I'm done sacrificing." Stefan leaned forward. "That house was a family effort. We supported you growing up." "Supported me?" Lucia cut in. "You locked me out when I was 16. You told me I'd never amount to anything. That house is mine because I fought for it, not because of you." Clara spoke up, voice trembling. "You're so cold, Lucia. We're begging here." "Begging?" Lucia shot back. "You trashed my yard. You sent fake papers. That's not begging, that's blackmail. Matteo lunged forward, but Stefan grabbed his arm. Sit down, he barked. Then to Lucia, we'll buy it from you. Fair price. Lucia shook her head. It's not for sale. Not to you. Not ever. Elena's mask slipped, her voice rising. You ungrateful little, after all we've done, you'd rather see us suffer? Nadia stepped in, cool and professional. What you've done is harass my client, forge documents, and vandalize her property. We've got proof. This stops now or we escalate. Stefan's eyes narrowed. You're recording this, aren't you? Lucia didn't blink. Damn right I am. Matteo exploded, kicking a chair. You're a snake, Lucia. You think you're better than us? No, she said calmly. I just know I don't owe you my life. Elena started sobbing, a performance Lucia had seen too many times. You're breaking my heart, she wailed. We're your family. Lucia stood, Nadia following. Family doesn't do this. We're done here. As they walked out, Matteo shouted, This isn't over. But Lucia didn't look back. In the car, Nadia grinned. That was gold. They just buried themselves. Lucia exhaled, a weight lifting. Post it. Tonight, Nadia said. Let the world see. Hours later, the audio went live. The internet erupted. Sympathy for Lucia, outrage at her family. They're monsters, one comment read. Lucia's a hero. But as she watched the views climb, a text from Stefan popped up. You've gone too far. You'll see. Lucia's stomach twisted. She'd won this round, but Stefan's threat hung like a storm cloud. They weren't done fighting, and neither was she. Lucia barely slept that night, Stefan's words echoing in her mind. By morning, her inbox was flooded, supportive messages mixed with hate mail from Matteo's loyalists. She ignored it all, focusing on the next step. Nadia called at 8 a.m. Court's expediting our case, she said. The audio pushed it over the edge. We've got them. Lucia smiled, but it faded when she stepped outside. Her car tires were slashed, the word traitor scrawled in red paint across the hood. She called the police, her hand shaking as she filmed the damage for evidence. Matteo, she muttered. It had his reckless signature all over it. The officers arrived quickly, taking statements and photos. We'll dust for prints, one said, but with your camera footage from before, it's a strong case. Lucia nodded, her resolve stealing. She wouldn't let fear win. That afternoon, Victor dropped by with more dirt. Stefan's been hiding assets, he said, handing her a folder. Offshore accounts, unreported income. He's funding Matteo's tantrums and dodging taxes. Lucia's eyes lit up. This could ruin him. More than that, Victor said. It's leverage. Threaten to tip the tax office and he'll back off. She hesitated. Blackmail wasn't her style, but neither was losing. Let's hold it for now, she decided. I want them to hang themselves first. Court date loomed, but Matteo struck again before it arrived. Lucia came home to find a moving van in her driveway, 2 men unloading boxes onto her lawn. She stormed over. What the hell is this? One man shrugged. Matteo Moretti hired us. Said you're vacating. Lucia laughed, cold and furious. I'm not vacating. Get this off my property or I call the cops. They hesitated, but when she dialed 999, they scrambled to reload the van and drove off. She caught it all on camera, posting it with a caption. They're desperate now. The video racked up views and Matteo's facade crumbled further. That night, Clara called, her voice slurred with wine. You win, okay? Matteo's losing it. Just stop. Stop, Lucia said. You started this. Live with it. Clara hung up, and Lucia felt a pang of pity until she remembered the mud on her windows. No mercy. The next day, Stefan showed up alone, his face haggard. Lucia, he said, let's end this. We'll drop the claim if you delete the posts. Lucia crossed her arms. And Matteo's vandalism? The forged papers. He sighed. We'll handle him. Just truce. She studied him, sensing weakness. I'll think about it. But the lawsuit stays. Stefan left, defeated, and Lucia called Nadia. They're cracking, she said. Push harder. Nadia laughed. Oh, we will. See you in court. Lucia hung up, staring at her house. It wasn't just walls and windows, it was her victory. And she'd fight to the end to keep it. Courtroom buzzed with tension as Lucia sat beside Nadia, her hands clasped tightly. Across the aisle, Matteo, Elena, and Stefan huddled with their lawyer, a slick man named Hugo who oozed confidence. Clara was absent. Rumor had it she'd moved out. Lucia's chest tightened. This was it. The judge, a stern woman with gray hair, called the session to order. Nadia presented their case first. The forged deed, the vandalism footage, the audio from the family meeting. My client has endured a campaign of harassment, Nadia said, her voice ringing clear. Her family seeks to steal what she rightfully owns. Hugo countered with a smooth lie. This house was a collective family effort. Lucia's success stems from her parents' support. They deserve a share. Lucia's blood boiled, but Nadia squeezed her hand. We've got this. The evidence spoke for itself. Bank statements showed Lucia's solo payments, no family contributions. The forged signature on the deed didn't match her own, confirmed by an expert. The vandalism footage sealed it, Matteo's face clear as day, paint can in hand. Hugo floundered, claiming Matteo acted alone, but the audio betrayed them. Elena's voice, sign the papers or we'll make this harder, drew gasps from the gallery. The judge's frown deepened. Matteo took the stand, his charm faltering. I just wanted a better life for my kids, he said, eyes darting. Lucia's selfish. Nadia pounced. So you vandalized her property? Forged documents? I didn't mean, he stammered, but the judge cut him off. Enough. I've heard plenty. Lucia testified next, her voice steady. I built that house with my own money, my own sweat. They've never supported me, they've only taken. The judge ruled swiftly. The claim is dismissed. The house belongs to Ms. Moretti. I'm issuing a restraining order against the defendants. No contact within 500 meters. Matteo slumped, Elena sobbed, and Stefan stared at the floor. Hugo whispered furiously, but it was over. Nadia grinned. Told you. Side reporters swarmed. Lucia gave a brief statement. This was about justice. I hope they learn from it. But as she drove home, a text from Victor stopped her cold. Found something big. Meet me tomorrow. She barely slept, her victory bittersweet. What now? Lucia met Victor at a quiet park the next morning, the air crisp with autumn chill. He handed her a thick envelope. Stefan's offshore accounts, he said. Millions. And that's not all, Matteo's business flop? Stefan funded it with money he embezzled from his old firm. Lucia's jaw dropped. Embezzlement? Yep, Victor said. He's been dodging taxes for years. If this goes public, he's finished. Lucia's mind raced. This wasn't just leverage, it was a nuclear bomb. Why tell me now? Because Stefan's planning something, Victor said. He's been meeting with shady types. I think he's desperate. Lucia clutched the envelope, torn. Exposing Stefan would destroy him, and maybe Matteo too. But it'd also drag her into a mess she'd just escaped. "I need time," she said. That night, she sat in her living room, the envelope unopened. Her phone buzzed. Matteo. "Lucia, please." "I'm sorry. Let's talk." She ignored it, but an hour later, headlights flashed outside. Stefan stepped out alone, his face gaunt. Lucia grabbed her phone, ready to record, and opened the door. "I know what you've got," he said, voice low. "Victor's good. Too good." Lucia didn't flinch. "Then you know I can ruin you." He nodded. "I'm begging, Lucia. Don't. I'll call Matteo off. We'll leave you alone." "Why should I trust you?" she asked. "Because I've lost enough," he said, eyes glistening. "Elena's leaving me. Mateo's a wreck. You've won." Lucia hesitated. This wasn't the Stefan she knew. No bluster, no threats. Just a broken man. "One condition," she said. "Confess to Matteo. Everything." He agreed, and she watched him drive away, a strange pity stirring. The next day, Matteo called, sobbing. "Dad told me. The money, the lies, I didn't know." Lucia hung up, unsure if she believed him. But the war was over. Or so she thought. Lucia thought peace was hers, until Clara showed up a week later, banging on her door. "You ruined my life," she screamed, her face blotchy with tears. "Matteo's leaving me, and it's your fault." Lucia stepped outside, arms crossed. "My fault? You backed him every step." Clara's eyes flashed. "I've got nothing left, but I've got this." She thrust a USB drive at Lucia. "Matteo recorded you years ago. Private stuff. He's planning to leak it." Lucia's blood ran cold. "What?" "After you fought at 19, Clara said. You confessed things about your ex, your fears. He's twisted it into blackmail." Lucia snatched the drive, her mind reeling. She'd trusted Matteo back then, before the rift widened. "Why give this to me?" "Because I hate him more," Clara spat, then stormed off. Lucia plugged the drive in, her heart pounding. Her voice, young and raw, spilled out secrets she'd buried. Matteo's plan was clear: humiliate her if she didn't relent. She called Victor. "He's got one last trick." Victor traced Matteo's online activity, posts ready to drop, tagged with her name. Lucia acted fast, posting first. "My brother's latest low blackmail with old recordings. Here's the truth." She uploaded the audio, unedited, with context. "I was human. He's a coward." The response was overwhelming. Support drowned out Matteo's threats. He never posted. Instead, he vanished, phone off, flat empty. Elena called, voice frail. "He's gone, Lucia. I don't know where." Lucia felt no triumph, just exhaustion. Her family was shattered, but she was free. Months passed, and Lucia's life settled into a quiet rhythm. The house stood strong, her sanctuary intact. She'd won, not just the legal battle, but her self-respect. Her business thrived, her employees dubbing her the warrior. She even started gardening, lavender blooming in the yard, a symbol of peace. Elena reached out once, timid and tearful. "I'm sorry, Lucia. For everything." Stefan followed, admitting his crimes to the tax office to avoid her wrath. He faced fines, not jail. Lucia let it go. Matteo surfaced in Spain, working odd jobs, his charm faded. Clara remarried, her kids with her. The family was fractured, but Lucia didn't care. She'd built her own. One evening, Nadia visited, wine in hand. "You're a legend," she said, raising a glass. "They'll never mess with you again." Lucia smiled. "I made them regret it." She posted a final update, a photo of her house captioned, "This is mine." Earned, not given. The likes poured in, but one comment stood out from Matteo. "You were right. I'm sorry." She didn't reply. Some wounds healed without forgiveness. As the sun set, Lucia stood on her porch, the weight of years lifting. She'd fought, bled, and won. And no one would take that from her again.